everyone, and welcome to another episode of Annie Talks, where we bring to you interesting stories about interesting people that you want to know about. I'm your host, Annie Rivera. Thank you for tuning in, and to those who have already subscribed. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, and I hope you enjoy what you hear. And if so, I personally invite you to subscribe. Annie Talks is brought to you by Luxwear Trends, affordable, luxurious timepieces for every occasion, luxury that lasts forever, and that's what sets us apart from others. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit luxweartrends.com. That's Luxe weartrends.com. So we are continuing in my favorite series, which is the Entrepreneur series. My next guest is Terri Mendez, someone who I've known for many, many years. We were good friends back in junior high school and then into high school. And as the years passed, life happened. We all went our separate ways, and eventually we lost touch with one another. But through the power of social media, we were able to recently reconnect. And this is how I found out through another mutual friend about Terri's business. Terri and her family moved from California to Texas, and in 2017, she started her business called Find Your Happie by Beau. I love Terri's story because it demonstrates her resilience, her tenacity, her drive, and determination. I think we can all relate in some way to the ebbs and flows of change, relocation, starting over in a new environment, and then finding, as Terri says, your own happy. I'm excited for you to hear more about Terri, so without further ado, here now is my conversation with Terri Mendez. So my guest on this episode is Terri Mendez, who is the owner of Find Your Happie by Beau. Terri, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, Annie. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I am going to be kind of the fly on the wall asking the questions. How silly is that? But I'm going to be the fly on the wall, and I'd love for you to kind of tell your story. Give us a sense of your background and how you came to Find Your Happie by Beau, and just kind of the life and how, according to Terri.
Sure, no problem. I'm so excited.
Yay.
Well, let's see how excited I can get you all. Just a little background. So I was born and raised in Carson, California, woohoo!
Yay.
Where my whole family is still there, actually. And I graduated college from CSU Dominguez Hills, where I got my degree in business. So with that, I also married Philip Mendez the same time I graduated, believe it or not.
Oh,
And
wow.
And so we moved to Lakewood, California, where eventually we had twins, Derek and Marissa. And gosh, now they'll be turning 17 this coming November. Could you believe it?
Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
Wow, it is.
So, yeah. And living in Lakewood was just as fun as living in Carson. We planted our seeds there with the kids and raised our kids with other parents, got to know all the parents, and grew really close to everyone. And then suddenly we get this notice from Phil's work. He works for Toyota, that his home office was going to be relocating to Texas. So,
wow.
Anyhow, that's what brought us here to Texas. But meanwhile, while we were raising the kids, I was working for Wells Fargo Insurance Services, and I did that for a while. And before that, I had my own flower business doing weddings. So I kind of had a side business as I was growing my career with Wells Fargo.
So let's give a sense of our background, our connection. So I've known Terri, gosh, it's been decades. And we met in high school, right? I think, or right at the beginning of my high school or around that time. And we had my brother, and then we were part of this small Christian group. And then we sang in different places all over. And Terri was kind of
Yes.
like our manager.
I don't know about that.
But we all piled into Terri's car, her little yacht at the time. It was so cute. We all piled in her car. It's amazing how we didn't like get pulled over and ticketed. It's just what I equate that, in the vision I have are all the clowns that pile out of a small car. There was so many of us. There was
we had so much fun. It was a good memory.
We did. And I also remember going to your wedding and how beautiful it was. And so she was very creative then. And I think you had, in just your planning and your decorating, you've always had a very creative eye that I remember.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You sang for my wedding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, I did. So tell us now how Find Your Happie by Beau came about.
Oh my goodness, it was such a surprise the way this all started. Once we moved to Texas back in 2016, we eventually moved the kids and got them started at school. And once all that happened, my parents came down and they visited us. And when they visited us, we came across this crafter, or this man who was selling all of his these cabinet doors, and he was getting rid of them because they were piling up in his garage. And these cabinet doors weren't just old beat up doors. These were doors that were from his wife, who owned her own cabinet shop, her cabinet business. So we went over there to check it out, being the crafters that we are. And we were thinking, what can we do with all this woodwork? What can we do with these cabinets? Since we're here in Texas and we're all crafters, what should we do? Mm-hmm. So we went over there, we picked them up, and we started just getting all these ideas. We went on Pinterest, we went on Etsy, we started thinking, and we're like, why don't we just start creating some cool artwork? We'll design these doors and put some beautiful inspirational sayings, paint some pictures, add some little hooks, make them useful. And we started this fire of artwork, and it kept going. And they must have been here for a week, and we had made maybe over 20 art pieces. Mm-hmm. And we looked at each other and we're thinking, okay, now what do we do with all of these things?
Hilarious.
I know.
So what did you do with all of those things?
So we started going online, and we're thinking, what can we do? You think it's possible to sell these? Are these good enough to sell? Mm-hmm. So we went online and we were looking at similar products, hoping ours were, equal or better. And we started slowly advertising them. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, they were catching people's eyes, and we were so excited, and we kept moving, we kept going. And it was my mom, my stepmom, and then even my daughter Marissa got involved. We were on fire. It was just something that kept us so happy. Mm-hmm. And eventually it created this small business, and it was like a domino effect. Everything started happening just by creating these projects.
So can you explain to our listeners what some of these projects look like? I mean, kind of, when I saw some of the things that you created, a lot of them were kind of woodwork type.
Absolutely.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Sure. If you're a fan of Fixer Upper, mm-hmm. you would know who Chip and Joanna Gaines are. In fact, Joanna Gaines has her place in Waco, Texas, which is where we visited as well when we first moved out. And her type of artwork is that rustic, warm feeling you get, and everything it looks like they were handmade. But we're not saying we're copying her. We're taking that a step further and adding things that would be useful, such as we buy these cute little knobs and we add the knobs to them so you could hang your keys or hang your coat. Or we'll put a doorknob and make it look like a mini door entrance. Mm-hmm. And we'll put a beautiful inspirational saying either from the Bible or something that states, you can do this, something that will be powerful and help you throughout your day. We create bulletin boards out of it, chalkboards out of it, so many designs that I can't even keep up with our website. We have to update our website so we can get everyone else excited about it.
Oh my goodness. How exciting. How fun is that?
It
So
is.
now there's some significance to the name, or to the name of your business. Find Your Happie by Trey, and it's TRE, Trey Beau, which is or TRES.
Right.
Beau. So tell us a little bit about that. What do each of those significance mean?
Yes. Well, the name Find Your Happie actually started. I'll start with the first half of the name.
Okay.
Find Your Happie was created from a beautiful scene that I was driving through. It was an actual street, one of the highways we take to get. It's funny, but it's a little street we take to get to my doctor. And my new doctor. And this street is full of beautiful trees. I'm just a fan of trees. And the trees just arch from one side to the other. They meet halfway. And so it makes this really long. I'd say it's about, at least 2 to 3 miles long. And when you go through this, it looks like a tunnel of trees just over you. It's just the most gorgeous view. Wow. And when I went through that, I had to stop in the middle and just start videoing. And I took a picture. And once I saw that, I said, this is it. This is how I find my happy. And I'm going to name my business Find Your Happie. So.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That
yeah.
is awesome. And then now, what are the letters TRE?
So the letters stand for the 3 women we have. So Trey Beau in French, if you don't know, means beautiful. Well, actually, the Beau's beautiful. And Trey is Terri, myself, Regina, which is my stepmom, and Estrella, which is my mom. So the plural form makes it Trey, and then the after part is Beau, meaning the beautiful sight of Find Your Happie.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I got goosebumps now. just in learning just the birth of the name of
yes.
Happie by Trey Beau. That's so beautiful. I mean, well, not to mention that there's 3 of you and you're all beautiful. So
and I didn't want that to be the perception. I want to make it clear the beautiful part is because of the scenery. It's just a gorgeous view.
Oh my goodness. Well, now tell us about some of now you do workshops and some classes, right? So
yes.
Talk about those.
So excited about the classes. The classes were actually started just this past year, maybe even the past 6 months, because we added a new line. Not only do we have home decor, but we added a new product line to help us with our home decor. And that product line is a special paint we use through a company called Chalk Couture. How beautiful is that name, Chalk Couture?
Seriously.
And
what is Chalk Couture?
Chalk Couture is its own business with its own owner, who's also a female owner that I just truly admire and respect. But we use her products, and what those products do, it allows someone to create art and make mistakes and erase it. It's reusable. It's using silk screen transfers. In any event, it's a whole new concept of a way to use art, and it enables us to provide classes from all ages, from like kindergartners to senior citizens. I mean, it's that diverse and that easy. So that started, and we've been having a ball doing the art classes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, and then the classes are where? Are they local to you, or are they everywhere? I mean, how do people find you?
They're everywhere. We're very flexible. We offer classes from my home. We also offer classes through personal parties. Mm-hmm. I work at a couple local places that have me on as a contract job. So it's been a blessing as everything started, growing. There's more opportunity. So I'm having a blast.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast episode. We'll be right back after this short message from one of our sponsors. Comfotherm thermal wraps are designed to help relieve the pain and swelling in and around the jaw, especially after wisdom teeth extractions. For more information, visit comfotherm.com. That's comfotherm.com. Hey there, Annie Rivera here. Thanks for tuning in to Annie Talks. Be sure to tell your friends about subscribing to the podcast, and don't forget to rate and review the podcast. Doing so helps out with the algorithm and helps others to find this podcast too. I also invite you to like my Annie Talks Facebook page. There you'll find other news, information, upcoming events, and all sorts of things. Stay in the know with Annie Talks. I also invite you to join the Annie Talks Community Facebook group, where we carry the conversation from the podcast episode to the Facebook group. Ask questions about the episode, about a guest, about the locations, you name it. Ask away. This forum is for you. See you on the Annie Talks Community Facebook group. So Terri, tell us where you draw your inspiration from. I know that you mentioned Chip and
Joanna Gaines.
Joanna Gaines, thank you. I know you mentioned Chip and Joanna Gaines, but where do you draw your inspiration, and what inspires you to create new designs?
Oh goodness, there's so many sources that inspire me and my team. It comes from Audible books. I'm reading this great book called Get Over Your Damn Self. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
wow. That sounds so directive.
I know. It's so on spot for me. This author, her name is Rami Nusrat, and she really defines how to run your business and how to not be afraid to do new things. Get out of your, get out there and do something new. Challenge yourself. So.
Wow, I love that. So say the name of the book again and then the author.
It's so funny. It's called Get Over Your Damn Self by Rami, and her name is spelled Romi, and her last name is Neustadt. It's spelled Neust, T like Tom, A, D like David, T like Tom.
Sounds like it's very thought-provoking and kind of helps you determine some of your own inner motivation, yeah?
Absolutely. Like this other man I follow, his name is Eric Thomas. Mm-hmm. He's known as E.T. the Motivator. And if you look him up, I use this for my kids too. Whenever my son has a soccer game, I'll put him on in our car before we go to a game, and he talks to you like he's a preacher. I mean, he talks deep and talks loud. He's almost yelling because he started with nothing. He lived with no money. He lived on the streets, and he created this multi-million business just by motivating. Wow. I know.
That's so awesome. Now, Terri, I know that we talked earlier about our connection, but did you know we have another connection in that we both have twins? Hello?
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I have fraternal twins, boy and a girl twins, just like you guys. Just you two.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old are your twins?
My twins are 22 now.
Oh, wow. You'll have to give me some tips.
Oh, my goodness. Let me just tell you that, it doesn't come with its, bag of worry and bag of anxiety and,
right.
all these different bags, you do what you have to do in terms of being a parent, right? So, which segues into my next question. How do you, as a mother of twins, a wife, and now a business owner, how do you manage and handle work-life balance?
I think that's a whole new positive force in my life, having this own business, because it allows me to control my calendar. I mean, not necessarily control my life, but I'm able to set my hours. I'm able to work until midnight from my home. I don't need to commute back and forth. So with all that said, I'm saving all this time and picking my own hours to work, whether it's 2 a.m. at night or, 2 a.m. in the morning, or staying out late and then working. So I think it's just the freedom of having that control is I'm able to control my calendar in that regards.
And then
So
it doesn't feel like work because it's something you're passionate about, right? I mean, yes, it does feel like
no,
it's work in that, because you have to put in the hours, but it's something, like you said, I think you hit it, the nail on the head, in that you can create and control your own hours and
yes,
create the direction of your own business. So you don't answer to anybody. You just
absolutely.
do it for yourself. I love that. Totally.
I love it too. When you're passionate about something, it just makes your job fun. I mean, it's really not a job, like you said. It's everything you want, and you're expanding just by doing. So I'm loving it.
Awesome. So now talk about, as most businesses, startup businesses and entrepreneurs go through, what would you say is maybe what was the most challenging moment that you've had? What obstacle did you face, and how did you overcome it? What did you do to overcome it?
Oh gosh, one of the most challenging things I've ever experienced was the whole surprise move from family to Texas. I mean, literally, never ever planned to leave California, never planned to be away from my family. We thought we were going to be, there forever with our kids, but things come up, and what can we do? We almost thought of, having Phil work away while we lived in California, but that it wasn't going to work that way. So it all worked out though. I mean, the first year I really went into a depression where I just didn't want to open my door. I mean, we got moved out. We did all that. We got the kids put into their school, but it was so hard just to smile. It was so hard. I wanted to be back with my family. No one's here. So I had the luxury of having my parents come back and forth, maybe 4 times the first year.
Oh, wow.
Which helped a lot. And the turning point, Annie, we were at this Christmas craft show, the very first one for the high school. And it was called the Holiday Craft Show. And I brought my mom. She was visiting, luckily. And as we were just scoping out the place, we ran into this lady, one of the vendors, who was showcasing these homemade cards. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's homemade cards. I used to do this. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to check her out. So we went over there. Her name is Laura. She's with Stampin' Up. This is the club that I used to join, that I was a part of, Stampin' Up. And I asked her, oh my gosh, can I join your club? I was the one who just sold myself to her. I'm like, I really want to do this. I need something to do. And she asked me where I lived. I lived right down the street from her, coincidentally. And since that moment, I became part of a club member, and I was able to meet other people through her club. And it was the most beautiful thing because she's the nicest lady. And she introduced me to my other line that I sell now. It's the Dove chocolate party line. It's through the Cocoa Exchange. I met this lady through her that I started to sell her products in my store. So those little doors that open gave me so much more opportunity to meet the most beautiful people. And it continues. It's still continuing to go that route.
Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful story. I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, that period of depression, but there was a plan for you. There's a master plan, and we know that things happen for a reason, and you overcame it, and that's a great story of overcoming that hurdle. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and telling us and sharing with us your story.
Thank you. It was hard, but it's all good.
Now, on the flip side, could you share something memorable in the last, a couple of years that you've, while in business and as an entrepreneur, what can you say has been one of your most cherished or most memorable moments so far?
Being out here alone and being from California, you're used to the hustle and bustle. And every day I go back to this memory because when we first moved into Texas, it was such a blessing to have people like Texans here help us. We were at the store trying to get furniture for the office, and it was actually too big to fit into our car. So this man who was parked next to us saw us struggling trying to put this box in our back seat. And he was like, excuse me. He came over and said, but do you need help? And we're like, I don't think this is going to fit. This is just too big for our car. And he's like, well, look at my pickup. I have a pickup. Why don't I just take your stuff, put it in the back of my pickup and bring it home with you? And I thought, oh, are you serious?
Oh my goodness.
And he actually we were at Lowe's, I believe. We went to Lowe's and he came to help us. He rescued us, basically, delivered our boxes to our home. And he came into our home and we started talking as if we knew him from the past. I mean, it was so nice. I know. And he had to go a whole different direction back home. And I thought, you wouldn't get this. You wouldn't get this where I live. I mean, I live in a great area in California, but the people are so friendly. And every day I look around and it's still happening. People are still saying hi. When you first walk into a store, they're like, hi, how are you? And I'm thinking, I'm good. How are you? I'm serious.
It's nothing bad on us Californians, but it says a lot for Texans, yeah?
It does. I mean, I tell people we are in such a rush in California. We are all in such a rush from go to point A to B. I mean, we're nice people, but how often do you get people to stop and say hello or to stop and say, hey, can I help you? To me, that was just like another plus to the list. So.
Well, awesome. See, that's just another,
yes.
positive in this. And again, everything happens for a reason. So it's the positives. It's, God put somebody there in front of, in your,
yes.
in your path to, help in that transition and alleviate some of the
yes.
stress of, transitioning and getting comfortable and getting acclimated with your whole environment. So, that's so good. And I love those kinds of stories. And I'm a story person. I love stories. I love to hear them, tell them, I love it. So this is another one of those memorable stories that I'll chalk up in my little book here because I love to collect all those. It's so nice.
Oh, thank you.
Now, for parting words and for aspiring creative business owners out there like yourself, what can you tell them? What can you instill in them and into how to either get started or
Sure.
What would you like to say to them?
First and by far is to always think positive. I mean, be phenomenal. This is what I have on my wall. Be phenomenal. Don't be forgotten. This is something that Eric Thomas instills in your brain. And without that thought, it's like, why be half-assed? Don't do anything half-assed. It's just wrong. So that's part of my thinking. And another good one is don't sweat the small stuff. Don't let the little things get in your way. Stay focused. Don't get off track. I mean, it's even hard for me some days to stay focused just because of all the little avenues we have to be on, but stay focused overall. Have that drive in you every day. Fill your cup with positive thoughts and challenges that will make you a better person. I mean, never stop growing.
Awesome. Ooh, never stop growing. I love that. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
All these lovely nuggets. I'm serious. It's like, I not only collect stories, but I collect slogans and inspirational quotes. So that's definitely another one in our book. So love that. Now,
Yes.
for one takeaway, what do you want the listeners to know about Terri, about find your happy by Beau? What do you want our listeners to know about and to take away from all this?
I feel like if I had to die today and I wanted someone to say something nice about me, me versus the business, I would hope that what they get out of me personally is that positivity from within me. I'm hoping I at least can share. People will remember me for smiling back at them or for just saying hello to them, just a positive impact in someone's life. And for the business side, I hope people will take our creations and feel like it's making them, it's helping them make their life better by having that inspiration in their home, a positive impact.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned smiling, and I've always known you to be a very upbeat and very positive person, even from childhood. So if you guys can't already feel her smile coming through, I can tell you right now, she is grinning from ear to ear.
Oh,
that's
thank
Terri.
you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
And it's so perfect, the name, Find Your Happy. Honestly, because it fits the personality. So Find Your Happy by Beau, everybody. Now, Terri, where can we find you? Where can we find you on social media?
The best place today, because we're updating our website, is on Facebook. I'm growing my Facebook page. I'm learning new things every day. I'm taking classes for Instagram. I mean, I literally at this age, I want to tell you how old I am, but I'm still growing with, all of the social media. It's amazing how much there is to learn.
Well, I mean, I'm thankful, and I said this to you earlier before, but I'm super thankful for social media because this is how you and I reconnected after how many decades. So I'm very thankful for social media. And then the amount of, just the opportunity out there for the doors to open and for the opportunity to meet to even newer friends and be reconnected with former friends and things like that. I just love it. So don't feel as though you don't know anything about social media. Social media will catch up to you. So we'll go at your pace and everybody. So go and check out Find Your Happy, and it's spelled Happi, right? Happie. Sorry. So Find Your Happy by Beau, everybody. So find her on social media, and then once her Instagram gets going, I'll be sure to check back either on her Facebook page, or you can come to my Facebook page or my website, and I'll update her Instagram once it becomes live and up and running. So
thank you.
Of course. Well, Terri, thank you so much for being on the show and for just your spirit and your positivity. Everything exudes and it comes through. So
thanks, Annie.
And if you're ever back in California, in Southern California area, be sure to give me a holler, and I'd love to, reconnect with you in person again.
Absolutely. It's a date.
Yay. Thank you. Thanks, Terri.
Thank you, Annie. Have a great day.
You too.
Well, that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Annie Talks and getting to know more about Terri Mendez. Couldn't you just feel the happiness exuding from Terri? Can you relate to her story in some way? Are you starting over in a brand new location, a new job, a new school? Here are my takeaways from talking with Terri. Number 1, utilize your support system. I touched on this subject in another podcast episode with Jasmine Wallace of Ku'iipo Creations, who did the same thing. She had her family, her village to lean on, just like Terri. She had her family too, her village, to support her during her move and getting acclimated with her new area. Number 2, never stop growing.
Terri mentions this during our conversation, and I really love this mantra. Terri expanded her passion, her love for art and crafting, and turned it into a thriving business. She embedded herself in her community, linked arms with like-minded individuals, and found what truly makes her happy. I am so thankful that Terri shared her story, because if you're anything like me, sometimes you feel alone in your struggles, especially as an entrepreneur or startup business owner. But knowing others out there encountered the same scenarios you went through or are going through is very therapeutic. I strongly believe that we all can learn from one another and empower one another, and then turn around, pay it forward, and be the same positive influence on someone else. Don't forget to check out Terri's Facebook page. I will have all that information down below in the show notes, so be sure to check it out. Now, before we sign off, if you aren't already subscribed to my podcast, I invite you to hit subscribe and be notified anytime we upload a new episode. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And if you could please rate and review my podcast, please leave a message or a comment. It would really help me out, and it would also help others to find this podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. I will have all the links to my social media below in the show notes too. And lastly, if you enjoy this podcast, please consider contributing to my Patreon page. Your contributions will help to further the vision and mission of Annie Talks, so that we could produce more episodes like this one and many other types of episodes and topics. The Patreon page will also be linked in the show notes below. Thank you all again so much for tuning in, and keep listening to Annie Talks.
Hi, this is Terri Mendez with Find Your Happy by Beau, and you're listening to Annie Talks.